guys, this is Sahil here again, and in this video I'm going to be talking more about the iPhone SE, which was launched a couple of days ago. In particular, I'm going to be talking more about the iPhone SE camera system. Now that we have more details about this camera, I want to tell you how good this camera is going to be compared to phones like the Google Pixel 3a, the OnePlus 7T, and also the Samsung Galaxy S10e, which is not only of a similar size but of a very similar price. I want to do a deep dive into how Apple achieves this level of performance and what all you can actually expect of this camera system. And the core of this starts with the A13 Bionic processor. That's the secret sauce behind everything that Apple is achieving on this phone, and even for that matter on the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro models. Now that we have more details about the iPhone SE, it turns out this phone is not using the same optics as the iPhone XR, but actually the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10. Well, that's sounding a bit like a bummer, but Apple still is claiming that this phone is their best single camera system, which means at its worst it should be still slightly better than the iPhone XR, right? Well, I also believe that, and the reason for that is the A13 Bionic processor. Now, most people consider a processor to be something of an hardware element that's going to facilitate faster performance, better graphics and stuff like that, which is obviously true of the A13 Bionic. It's the fastest mobile chip out there on a smartphone. And the competition between chips that are there on Android smartphones and the A13 Bionic is not even close. Even Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 865 processor is kind of 20 to 25% slower than the A13 Bionic, which is already 6 months old. So that's how good this processor is. But it does more things. For instance, it also has a component which we call the image signal processor, or shorthand ISP. And the ISP is basically the element in the SoC which basically turns the information captured by the optics into a photo. Essentially, it's doing the job of a darkroom. It is what produces the photo. And if we go back to the iPhone 8, that had an ISP from the A11 Bionic processor. So the ISP is 2 generations better. It is a huge leap actually, because Apple has made massive leaps with the A12 Bionic processor, and then arguably the A13 Bionic was a bigger leap from even the A12. Especially if you compare what the A12 was to the A11, the A13 is a much bigger leap from the A12. So in that regard, this phone is doing a lot of stuff which is better, and that's why it's able to eke out more performance from a rather small sensor. If you compare the iPhone 8 sensor and optics to the iPhone 11, then it's like chalk and cheese. But even the iPhone XR, which was powered by the A12 Bionic, had a much bigger sensor. But yet Apple claims that it is its best single camera system. And one more indicator of that is the fact that when you were talking about portrait lighting effects, the iPhone XR was able to do very few effects. But on the iPhone SE 2020, you're getting a full suite of effects which you can get on the iPhone 11. That's an indicator that this ISP is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting, and it's helping to create much better photos. The other thing that this ISP helps in with is portrait mode. Now, even though this is a single camera system, it's going to do portrait mode. It's not going to do any kind of object detection. It's going to just focus on one thing, your face. Human faces actually, not your face. And this ISP is also helping the front-facing camera do portrait mode. It gets a 7 megapixel front-facing camera, but if you remember, portrait mode was there on the front-facing camera in the iPhone 10, XR, XS, 11 and 11 Pro models, but all of these phones had the Face ID sensor, the true depth sensor, and the iPhone SE doesn't have that sensor, yet it can do portrait mode. So which again tells me that the ISP is doing its magic. Now, if we take a step back and just think about how good the iPhone XR camera was, because on a base level, we are assuming this phone is going to have a better camera system than the iPhone XR. Then, if we had to compare the XR camera right now with some of the modern competitors like the Google Pixel 3a, the OnePlus 7T, and the Galaxy S10e, then I would say probably the XR has the second best camera. For sure, the Google Pixel 3a has the best camera out there. It has the best image quality, really nice photos. It's got really sharp photos. It does so well in low light. Night sight is insane, and it does all of this through software and through a single lens, which is amazing. But apart from this phone, the XR is actually the better photo taker if you had to compare the OnePlus 7T and also the Galaxy S10e. Now, the Galaxy S10e and the OnePlus 7T probably pull ahead of the iPhone XR only in things like a zoom, telephoto zoom, or a wide angle camera, and a night mode, because this phone does not have extra lenses, and at the same time it doesn't have a dedicated night mode. And the same holds true for the iPhone SE. But the reality is, most of us are actually shooting most of our photos using the primary camera, because that's usually the best camera. It's going to take the sharpest photos. So in most situations, you will find the iPhone XR to take better photos than the 7T and also the Galaxy S10. It's going to just take better photos. Probably in low light it kind of falls behind, and that's more because it doesn't have a dedicated night mode. That's it. Even for portrait shots, the iPhone XR does a better job than the OnePlus 7T and the Samsung Galaxy 10e. So when we take a step back and sort of do that comparison and do the math with the iPhone SE, which has got a much better ISP and much improved software also, then we can assume that this phone is going to do a better portrait mode, and at the same time, in terms of realism, the portrait mode of the iPhone is even better than the Pixel phones. The Pixel phones do really great edge detection, but they look like cardboard cutouts. So from that point of view, this phone is even do a better job in terms of portrait mode, and generally the image quality should be right up there with the Pixel 3a. As good as the Pixel 3a is, the one area where it cannot match up to the iPhone XR is video. In fact, it can't even match up to the iPhone 8. And the iPhone 8 actually is still better in video than the OnePlus 7T and even the Galaxy S10e. And boy, all of these phones are 2019 phones. So, if we take a wild guess out here with the iPhone SE, I think this phone is going to be wildly better than any 2020 flagship phone in terms of video, leave alone some of these flagship killers that come in this 40k range. The reason for this is that this phone does 4K video at 60 frames per second, and this was kind of standard issue for the iPhone for a while. Even the iPhone XR and the XS could do 4K 60 frames per second video. But this phone does it even better thanks to the A13 Bionic again, and at the same time it is also able to do 4K video at 30 frames per second at extended dynamic range. Now that is incredible. No flagship Android phone can do that. Not even the OnePlus 8 Pro, not even the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. Sure, the S20s are now even doing 8K video, but really, what's the point of 8K video? And it's so choppy, that 8K video on that phone, so it's kind of useless. And even if you had to compare the S20 4K video at 60 frames per second, I would say that the iPhone XR was doing much better video 2 years ago than what we are starting to get on these new Android flagship phones. So which is again an indicator that probably the iPhone SE is going to be better at 4K videos than all of these phones. And at the same time, these phones have really bad microphones. For instance, I'm recording this video on an iPhone 11 and you can imagine the clarity that you're getting right now. This is just phone, no microphone, no nothing, no hype from anyone. I'm just sitting here, propped it up, and I'm just rambling on out here. But the quality is really good. You just can't get this level of quality without some special app like Dolby Go or something like that, Dolby On, to elevate noise cancellation levels. So if you're like me and you go to a lot of concerts, well, not right now, probably the iPhone SE is going to make more sense because you're going to be able to bootleg your favorite performances and the audio quality is going to be much better. And while we have really spoken a lot about the hardware out here, the iPhone SE gets better camera processing software. The iPhone XR back in the day introduced something called Smart HDR, which was kind of Apple's rebuttal to HDR Plus on Google's Pixel smartphone, which is basically a type of computational photography paradigm. And one of the reasons that the iPhone XR is second best to the Pixel in terms of imaging, still photography, is Smart HDR. Because Smart HDR wasn't as good 2 years ago. But last year when Apple announced the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro, they introduced Smart HDR 2, which also did things like semantic rendering and revamped tonal mapping. And this Smart HDR was really critically acclaimed. People believe that it did a much more realistic job, even more so than the Pixel. And the iPhone SE gets these new processing technologies which are obviously facilitated by the A13 Bionic chip, its ISP and its neural engine. So the neural engine is doing a lot of on-device machine learning, and this new neural engine is helping with stuff like portrait mode. So again, the big point out here that I'm trying to make is that the image quality is going to be really impressive. It's going to be actually closer to the iPhone 11 than the iPhone XR. And that's kind of a big deal, particularly for a phone that costs just about $500 for starting point. And the last point that I wanted to make is the software that you get on an iPhone. It's actually not even a fair competition or a comparison with an Android smartphone. For instance, in the case that you're missing night mode, you can download an app called Neural Cam. Neural Cam costs I think $150 and it does a really good night mode, and you can actually control the levels of exposure also. So it does, it's a more adaptable night mode than what you are getting there on the iPhone 11 as well. So that's there. If you want object detection, then you can download an app called Halide. Halide is one of the best third-party photography camera apps out there on the iPhone, and back when the iPhone XR came out, they were able to unlock object detection in portrait mode with that phone. I'm sure they're going to be able to do the same thing on the iPhone SE, considering they have so much processing headroom out here. Then there's also an app called Focus, which is kind of dedicated to different types of bokeh, and it's generally a dedicated app for portrait mode. So that's going to be also a great app for unlocking a much better portrait mode than the standard camera app. And when we go to video, then it gets even more interesting because firstly, you get full linear video editors like LumaFusion. LumaFusion can easily edit 4K video at 60 frames per second on an iPhone without sweating. Like, it would do a job better than a MacBook Pro. That's how good the processing headroom is there, and that's how well optimized the system is on the iPhone. So you can actually edit professional quality video on this phone. Then you also get great video apps if you want to really control the white balance, the microphone levels and all of that stuff. Then you should download Filmic Pro, which admittedly is also there on Android, but trust me, it works much better on the iPhone. Filmic also has another app called Double Take. Now Double Take is incredible because it allows you to fire two cameras at the same time. So you can have the selfie camera and the rear camera fired up at the same time. And Mind you, that takes a lot of processing power, and only the iPhone has that much of processing power compared to Android phones. So, like, you don't even get this app on Android. So when you sort of do the math, then I really feel the iPhone SE, the 2020 model, is going to have probably one of the better camera systems, period. It's going to be not as good as the iPhone 11, obviously, but overall, in terms of a well-rounded camera system, then it will be probably the second best camera system that you can get outside of the newer iPhones. Like now they are the old iPhones, this is the new. Yeah.